Okay, so first of all, thank you for logging in. Today we're going to have a look at how we can use social media to improve customer experiences. And I really hope that you find this webinar of interest. Just a little bit of an introduction about Movo, first of all. I know that some of you may have already seen the webinar that was presented by me. And so you may have a little bit of an overview about Movo first. For those of you who are new to Movo, Movo is a company that is based in Malta, and we focus on two key areas, which are customer experience management and business intelligence. And what we're going to talk about today is really sort of a merge of the two, where we see how we can use social media data and social media intelligence to drive improvements in customer experience. Just a little bit about me. I'm the head of marketing at Movo, so my responsibility is taking care of all our marketing, both online and offline, for example, PR or communications as well. And Socionomixs is something that I have very much at heart because I was quite centered with its product development as well, sort of feedback, providing my feedback in terms of what marketers like to see. In terms of my background, I graduated in international marketing. I have a master's in international marketing from the University of Strathclyde in Scotland, and I specialized in online marketing specifically and social media. And after that, in terms of working experience, I've worked in iGaming and also in software companies before, where my main responsibilities were managing the online channels, such as affiliate marketing, PPC, SEO, and social media, etc. So that's a little bit about me. As you can see, quite a strong social media background. I'm very passionate about that. About the topic, and just a little bit of a sort of an admin point about the presentation. If there are any questions, we'll be stopping at regular sort of checkpoints throughout. So I would appreciate if you if you have any questions, just let me know when we stop for the checkpoint. Okay, let's kick off by looking a little bit at the the marketing space at the moment, the marketing arena. We hear so much about how the customer is powerful, today. If someone is unhappy about a product or a service, what they do is that they immediately go online and they shout it out to the world. So especially with bad customer experiences, that could mean that companies face quite some trouble and bad publicity. I mean, there were quite a few instances in recent history where, bad customer experiences online, shared online, spelled even, the failure of some even big companies. So, this is something that is very much a reality at the moment. Just some recent research actually found that there are more than 400 billion posts that are made on a daily basis, that are posted on a daily basis. So that is a huge amount of data, and obviously most of these are actually unsolicited customer opinions that are posted online. So of course you can understand where and how the customer has actually obtained all this power. However, what I would like to show you today is that through certain tools and certain data that we have access to, marketers and business people in general can be powerful too. We just need to be a little bit savvy and understand how we utilize all the data that we have available and how we can utilize it in a way to understand what is being said about us and also to obtain insights not only about what we're doing and what we're doing well and what we're not maybe doing so well, but also about what our competitors are doing. And that is when we'll go into one of the tools, two actually of the tools that we've created. But I'll leave that to a bit later on. Just starting off really from an interesting aspect. in my sort of day-to-day interactions, I meet with a lot of people who tell me, what isn't social media all about? Promoting yourself and advertising yourself, and getting customers to know about your company through Facebook, Twitter, through other channels. It's not really about that. It's not really social media. The main aim of social media should not be about revenue generation or about, advertising yourself, making it all about you. It should be a channel that is used to have a conversation with customers, to engage with customers, and more than anything else, to help us to obtain insights about customers in general, to help us to improve our customer experience. So that should really be the main aim of social media. Just sharing some data from a study that has been conducted by Altimeter, where they actually found sort of the key benefits of social media to actually be obtaining customer insights, decision making, for example, investment, understanding financial impact. So that there is just so much data out there that can be obtained, that can be tapped into from social media channels, that it makes it an excellent channel to obtain customer insights. Some other benefits of also understanding and monitoring social media, what is being said about a company on social media channels, is in terms of learning customer preferences on or even near real time. This is something that Starbucks use quite a lot, actually. For example, when they wanted to introduce their VIA product, their instant coffee product, they use social media quite a lot to help understand customer preferences, how they would actually like to purchase the product, and they tapped into all of these opinions that are freely available on social media. It's an excellent channel to use as well to monitor to monitor response to advertising, say TV advertising, for example. Social media channels are an excellent tool to use in that regard, and also to research any new products before they're launched in the market, a sort of crowdsourcing, if you like. A lot of companies have used that, such as, for example, Vitamin Water, who used social media again to understand what flavors people would actually like, for new product launch that they were going to conduct very soon. So there's some really good insights that one can obtain from social media. Just quite interesting, actually. I've really looked, very recently, just last week, to understand what were the top 10 most popular social networking sites in the world. And Facebook is by far the biggest one, looking at it in terms of the number of estimated unique monthly visitors. Facebook is getting actually very close to 1 billion. Then other channels are, quite popular as well, looking at Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, but Facebook remains by far the most important social media, social networking site. And quite interesting as well to understand what marketers want answered relating to social media. Again, something that I've come across mostly even on a daily basis is that a lot of people use social media, but they don't really understand if it's returning if they have a good return on investment on their efforts in terms of social media, and if they're doing well or not, what customer engagement is like. And looking at this study from an industry study actually from Social Media Examiner, it was quite interesting to find that these 5 questions were very common all throughout. Understanding what tactics were most effective, understanding what are the best ways to engage with my audience, measuring the return on social media marketing, understanding which are the best social management tools. There are so many tools out there that sometimes it can be quite confusing to understand which one to use. And finally, also, how do I find my target audience with social media? Sometimes, if you have maybe a niche kind of product, it can be quite difficult to find where your customers, so to speak, hang out online. So, that is another very common issue that marketers usually find. With sort of these in mind, knowing that Facebook is one of the most popular channels, and also keeping in mind the questions that marketers want to have answered, we've built a suite of products that we label Socionomixs. What we're going to discuss today, we're going to look at today is Socionomixs Analytics and Socionomixs Monitor. Just, to take you a little bit through Socionomixs Analytics, this is a product that is aimed at helping marketers to understand their return on investment on social media, how well they're doing in terms of, their engagement on social media, what content, for example, is working for them, who are their key influencers. We'll talk about key influencers a bit later on as well. And marketers can see this data not only for themselves, but also for their key competitors as well. They can choose up to a number of key competitors, and they will practically see a side-by-side comparison of these key metrics, of these key measurements. The current version that we have is built on Facebook data, and practically Facebook pages, and we can actually we can understand a lot of information. We can really get a lot of insight just by looking at all this data. Just to give you an example, we recently in Malta had a referendum on spring hunting, and we conducted that study. We actually sort of ran Socionomixs Analytics on social media data for both sides of the camp, so to speak, both the in favor and against, and it was actually very predictable. I mean, through Socionomixs Analytics, we could find that it was actually the yes vote that was going to win, and it was indeed the case, even though the margin wasn't quite significant. It was something that we could very clearly see through social media. I wanted to start off by showing you a little bit of a demo on what Socionomixs Analytics is all about. Yes, let's have a look at Socionomixs Analytics first of all. Okay. Yes, so let's have a look at Socionomixs Analytics. What we wanted to do to help everyone understand a little bit, what the product is all about. We wanted to pick some data from some Facebook data that all of us could relate to. And so what we did is we looked at the major car sales companies in Malta, and we analyzed their Facebook data. So as you can see here on the right, we're looking at Toyota, Malta, and Gazan, which are the local sort of distributors for Ford, Chevrolet. They have a number of brands that they represent. Volkswagen Malta and also Kia Motors Malta. We have data that dates back really from when their Facebook page was opened, so going back to 2010. Just for the sake of this demo, I'm going to click on 2014 so that we get to see just 2014 data. Over here, we go to the first page, which is the KPI page. We can see some very general information. Our aim for this page, for the KPI page, is that it immediately provides a little bit of an overview of what these companies are doing. And if you're one of these companies, if you're, I don't know, Toyota, you can immediately see what your competitors are doing. And so we have the total likes per page, what is happening, what has been happening in the last 7 days. So we can see over here a lot of people on Facebook are actually talking about Toyota and Malta. So maybe they're launching a campaign, they're doing something. You can already understand that. And you can also see who, in terms of engagement over time, or we're looking at the whole year 2014, how that has been panning out over the year. As again, you can see that there's something happening, a spike happening in October, around October time, yes, where they had about 155 fans actually engaging with the page. So probably they had a competition. We can understand, we can have a look at a bit later on at what they actually did around that time. Then moving on to page stats. This, as we go along, we'll be delving a bit deeper into the product and also going always one level deeper into the data to understand what has been actually happening there. We can see the total posts that they have made over time, the total likes that they have obtained for each post, the number of comments that they have garnered, and also the number of unique contributors. So how many people, how many unique people they have who actually post or comment on their page. And something that we found, which is actually quite interesting, is that most of the time, or a lot of the time, you have the owner of the page actually commenting a lot or posting posts, and that would sometimes skew the data. So we have included also this option to omit the owner, and sometimes you will see that the numbers, are really different when you exclude the owner. You'd get much less engagement. But in this case, you can see that the numbers, are not really all that different. We can also monitor engaged traffic over time for all the sites. And if we want to monitor just for example, Toyota, we can very easily click on one, and we will only see Toyota, and we can then determine when they have certain spikes in their data. By engaged traffic, we mean all those people who have posted, have commented, have liked their page, have interacted in some way or another with the page. And over here, we can also see the averages. So on average, when Toyota make a post on their Facebook page, they have 25 likes for every post. And compare that with Kia, for example, that only have about six likes for every post. These people, in this case, they don't really tend to comment so much. I mean, when you look at comments, it's really just over one. For example, for Toyota, similar to the others. Volkswagen have just a slightly higher average, but in general, people, they don't really like to comment so much. In terms of sharing, again, just slightly over one. The sort of the main differentiators really in terms of the number of likes that they obtain. Let's go a little deeper and actually look at engagement. How do people interact with Toyota? What kind of content do they like most? Let's have a look at content first of all. Here we can see the type of content that they use mainly on a sort of a frequent basis, so to speak, and for 2014. As you can see, they all generally tend to rely quite a lot on photos. Volkswagen and Gazan also use links, quite a good number of links to an extent, and then also status updates, with perhaps a few exceptions here in terms of video. But very generally, photos tend to be very popular with this type of industry or with this type of market. We also have in terms of, we can also understand the mix, the ratio between admin and user posting. So we can see that, for example, Kia, 65% of all their comments or posts are actually made by the administrator. Whereas for Volkswagen, this is the reverse. Most of their comments or posts are actually organic. They're made by users, user-generated content. Now, if, let's say I don't know, Volkswagen, for example, And I wanted to understand what Kazan are doing, what kind of photos they're posting, how people are actually interacting with those photos. In that case, I can just click on the photo section here of Kazan, and over here at the bottom, I will get the top. In this case, we have the top 6 selected. We can go up to 100. I don't know. We can choose top 10, for example. We will get the top 10 posts that were of a photo format that Kazan Summit have used throughout 2014. And I can analyze that data in a bit more detail to understand what kind of photos they're posting, how are people actually interacting with that. And if I click on any of those links, I'm going to be directed to their Facebook page to see exactly what kind of posts they were. This incidentally was the top photo, so to speak, in terms of the number of likes. It gained almost 1,200 likes. And you can see over here that is related to a sort of a new model that they were launching. We could do the same for all the others, to really understand what kind of pictures they're posting and also how people are actually interacting with that kind of photo. Yes, we can also see the top comments, for example, top 10 likers. So those people who like, they like a lot in terms of liking a post or liking a comment. A lot, we do get feedback from some of our customers who use this option to incentivize their audience on Facebook. So they say, for our top liker of the month, we'll give an incentive, a voucher or something of the sort. Top contributors as well. There's really a lot of data, a lot of ways in which you could sort of filter and understand in terms of competitor data. That was in terms of engagement, understanding engagement in more detail, and we can move over to trends where we'll understand, first of all, who are our key influencers. Now, with key influencers, we mean all those people that whenever they post or they comment, they get a lot of interaction, either in terms of likes or people commenting back. They basically, they create a discussion. They can influence a discussion. And as you can see over here, they're all color coordinated. So we know that these two relate to Rota, for example. What is actually quite interesting is these ones that appear in black. And they appear in black for a reason. The reason is that they would be deemed as being key influencers for more than one page. So they are posting and creating a discussion on more than one page in our case. If I click on, for example, this guy, Manuel Grech, I can see that he's posted on 2 separate pages, 2 posts, and also as a result of that garnered 18 comments. So he seems to be quite a key influencer for both Toyota and Volkswagen. If I wanted to, I could go back to engagement and actually understand what posts, what type of content he's posting. If I go back, I will actually see the comments that he's posted on both sides. And for example, for this particular one, so if it's a video, I can also link to the video to understand what kind of video he was posting. So there's really a lot of insight that you can get from there, especially in those situations where sometimes you're not sure of a particular post and it may be it was done by a competitor. You can understand if that person who's posting or commenting is actually doing so on your competitor sites as well. And over here we have a list of all our popular contributors by name and the number of posts and comments that they would have interacted with over here. Again, for the same people, all our contributors, we know if they have actually posted not only on our page. For example, if we're Toyota, we can see that this particular profile, 8 a.m., has also posted on the Socionomixs, for example. So again, you can understand if your friends are also interacting with your competitors in that case. Moving on to activity, this is actually quite interesting. We've analyzed here the most popular day of the week and also time of day when people tend to interact with these pages. Quite interesting here is something that we don't very usually find is that the patterns are very similar. For example, comparing Toyota and Volkswagen, the sort of two most popular ones, they tend to have very, sort of a concentration of activity taking place during the week and really not much happening during the weekend. Whereas in terms of time of the day, it tends to start early on at about 8, maybe as soon as people get to work, 8, 9, tapers off during the morning, picks up again during break time, and then really not much activity again until the next day. This is actually quite interesting data for a number of purposes. For example, we've had clients who, after noticing this, and seeing it very clearly, they have decided to have a lot more support, for example, during the weekend, if it was the case that, that they had additional activity, more activity during the weekend. And some other clients, they were actually a bit more sort of clever about it, and they said, yes, okay, maybe we have a very different time and day pattern to our competitors. What we're going to do is we're going to advertise on Facebook during our competitors' top peak time, sort of on Facebook, so that we attract our competitors' customers who are logging on at that particular time on Facebook. So there are a number of reasons why you would want to understand, why would you want to have access to that kind of data. And finally, we also have demographics. So we can understand a little bit more about our audience in terms of their gender and also in terms of their local, so the language basically that they have set their Facebook to. Unfortunately, Facebook does not really make public or make available a lot of data in this regard. So as you can see, in gender, for example, a lot of people tend to leave that as not public, not set. But we're just trying to get as much data as we can, and whatever data we manage to get, we're displaying it over here. In terms of data, everything that we've seen so far, because I forgot to say, it's all public data. So I mean, this is all data that one can easily access, one can access. But we're just making that data in a meaningful, visual format, so to speak. And of course, it's very quickly accessible as well. Whereas if we had to do that, say, you're Gazan and you're going on the Toyota website, it would take you a very long time to actually monitor all the posts, or the comments, or the likes, or the users, just sort of getting all that data and presenting it in a really nice way over here. Really, and then we have a section compare at the very end, where this is meant more for a reporting point of view, where anyone can choose either to monitor sort of on a side-by-side basis, one page on one side and another page on the other, and have a side-by-side comparison of some of the key sort of salient points that we discussed. Or otherwise, some of our clients, they told us we're using that if we want to monitor, for example, month-on-month performance. We could choose, for example, 2013 or on the one side, and then monitor 2014 on the other side, so that you can see a sort of a year-on-year comparison on your own brand. And that is something that you can easily export and provide to top management, for example, in terms of management reporting. Yeah, so this is very much, a demo of Socionomixs analytics, where the purpose here is to understand, to obtain insight, and also to understand what competitors are doing and how you're comparing, basically benchmarking yourself with the competition. Are there any questions at this stage on Socionomixs Monitor before we move on? Sorry, on Socionomixs analytics.
Yeah, hi Daniela. Sorry, I don't know whether you're going to mention it later, but you can obviously use this tool anywhere in the world. You can basically pick any company.
Yes, 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 that's right. Yes, you can pick any company, any number of competitors, and then it's very easy for us to put the tool together for you and put everything in one dashboard. Yes, but as long as they have a Facebook page, or really other data, because we can also tap into other social media channels, then it's something that we can very easily do.
Thank you. I'll let you carry on.
Okay, very good. So let me just go back to the presentation and talk to you a little bit about social media monitoring. First, we first launched our analytics tool in the market, and we're getting a lot of feedback from our customers to tell us it's a great tool, we're using it on a daily basis, but we would like something to help us monitor what is being said about us on social media channels as well. And that is where and how Socionomixs Monitor was born, our second tool in the Socionomixs suite. And the purpose of this tool is to help us to monitor what is being said about companies, brands on social media, and help them to listen in to conversations, understand if their brand is being talked about in a positive or a negative way, for example, and also help them to engage with people who are talking about their brand on social media. And of course, you can also use this to monitor competition as well. I mean, that is something that is very easily done through this tool. Again, just to show you a little bit of a demo of the Socionomixs Monitor as well, so that you can have an understanding as to how it all works. And what we've done here is you're looking at a demo over here as well, and this time we're comparing insurance companies in Malta. We could use the tool to monitor any number of keywords or any sort of company in this regard. But just for the purpose of this demo, we're using that for insurance companies. Just waiting here for it to load. Yes, very good. So just as you can see, the design is very similar. The functionality is just slightly different. What we're doing here, again, just for the purpose of this demo, we're tapping into some popular groups and forums on Facebook. The most popular ones in Malta, really. I mean, for the size of Malta, for example, one of the groups, Are You Being Fair, if I'm not mistaken, has more than 25,000 people, so who are members of the group on Facebook. So it's a very, very influential group in Malta. And we also have another group, which is called the Salat, where sort of more casual conversations take place. And then we have another page this time, which is called Malta Disaster Totale. Literal translation, Malta Total Disaster, sort of. But it's also another page where people tend to post, about their complaints, and that is why we wanted to monitor those groups and that particular page, because that is where most of the complaints actually come in. So what we have here, we've put in a number of keywords that relate to some of the insurance companies in Malta. that are over here. And for all those keywords, we're monitoring how many times they're mentioned on these groups. In terms of post, so a post means that someone would have created a fresh post right for the very first time and mention any one of these keywords. A comment would be someone actually mentioning these keywords within a comment. So replying to a post and mentioning a keyword within that reply. And also we have March and April data over here, so more recent data, and we can also see that there is actually a slight increase in the number of comments mentioning these keywords in April, actually over March. We're monitoring also the most commonly used words relating to these keywords. Insurance is one of the major ones in Gazan. It tends to be used quite a lot. Car, company, service, atlas, need, citadel. You can start to understand what are the most popular keywords in this regard. And also the key influencers, where again we're looking at people who, with regards to any posts or comments containing those keywords, they interact quite significantly. They either like, they share, they comment. They were sort of key influencers for those particular posts. Now let's look at in a bit more detail at the posts section. What we can do here, we can analyze when a particular insurance was mentioned as part of the post. So what I'm going to do here is just click on one of them, for example, Atlas. And for the last couple of months, I'm being presented with 3 posts that have been made on these social media groups. One of them was on the Salot, and the other 2 on Are You Being Fair, that in some way or another actually mentioned Atlas. One of them was saying that Atlas were donating €1 to a Lady Bird Foundation, so they were encouraging people to help sort of for a good cause. So sort of more of a neutral sort of post. The other one, someone was saying that they were asking actually for someone from the insurance to get back to them because they were waiting for a particular bumper for 3 months. They were still waiting for a reply. I'm imagining this could be someone who has been in touch already, maybe by email or on the phone to the insurance. They haven't had a reply, and then sort of as a last resort they would go to social media. And the other one is actually a recommendation. So this is what a professional service by Atlas, especially thanks goes to Jackie, etc., for their help. And now what I could also do, looking for example at this particular one, I might want to understand, there were 3 comments and 1 like associated with this post. So what I might want to do is actually click onto that and understand the conversation, the comments that actually took place for that particular post. So apparently, a representative from the insurance did actually get in touch. She specified that she worked at the company, and she also asked him to send her a private message so that they could get back to him. He seems to have sent her a private message, messaged you twice, but she went back and saying she hadn't heard back from him. So it's good to see that this was actually, it seems to be actually sorted in that regard. Over here, let me just clear this again. This was in this case sort of a good example, but there are many who maybe it wasn't such a good sort of review, so to speak, for insurance. We have another one here posting about another insurance and more than saying nothing. If you read at the very end, for example, If you just hover over this again, it will say at the very end, if you're insured with any of the above, I strongly advise you to change insurance, a company SAP. So it's very important for companies to actually go on and reply to these companies. I mean, in this case, no one, not even one representative from any of those companies actually went back with a reply. So that could potentially be, quite bad publicity for that company in that regard. Quite interesting to see actually. That when someone posts a complaint, in this case about a particular insurance, others recommend other insurance companies that they work with, and they say, yes, why don't you go with another insurance, which is Middlesea, for example. So they recommend sort of for a negative review about one company. Another company could also gain from that particular review, of course, if it's a well-liked company. So what we've seen so far is when someone actually creates a post, a sort of a fresh post to complain, maybe, or to write a review about a company, as we've seen with Atlas. I'm going to click on Atlas again, and this time I want to understand where they were mentioned as a comment. It's important to also monitor comments in the sense that someone might write a generic post that does not mention the brand, in this case Atlas, but as an answer to that post, the brand could be mentioned there. And we can see a number of instances over here where, for example, the answer included Atlas. Atlas always served us well, Atlas has never let me down. Atlas Insurance, Atlas the best. So it's important for me to know what was the original post that actually triggered the answer of Atlas. And if I click on that, I will be taken to the post that triggered those particular replies. So some people are asking recommended insurances for cars. Trying to change my car company. I'm already with Elmo and they have great service, but would like to open up more options. I'm looking for car insurance companies, best home insurance and business insurance, and people in the comments are actually saying yes. So it's very important to monitor what people are saying about you also within comments, within replies, and this is why we included that function. Just some other, some other data that we can see over here, where we're analyzing the most used words within comments when people mention these particular words. So some of them are in Maltese, so maybe not all of you may understand, but brakes, safety, power, they are the most commonly used words when people talk about these keywords within comments. If we go back to posts, we can also analyze the same thing to understand, in general, what are the most used words that people use when talk about these brands. So insurance, car, company, service, needs, health. Again, sometimes you can get a pretty good idea about, in general, what the posts are about by looking at these most commonly used words. Going on to demographics, again, just to share a little bit of data in terms of what is available on Facebook. For all those people who have either commented or posted about these keywords, we can understand their gender. There seems to be slightly more females than males, and also their names and where they have posted, on whether it was on Salot or are you being served on any other pages. Same thing, we're seeing really when is the most popular time of the day and day of the week when people tend to mention or talk about, in this case, insurance. So very useful data in this regard, especially if you want to increase customer support, online for those particular brands. And there seems to be a spike here, for example, at 2 in the afternoon. Monday, for some reason, seems to be very popular. Thursday as well, not so much during the weekend. But again, still very important data to look at to understand when people are talking about these topics in general. And finally, I believe this is our most useful function for Socionomixs Monitor, where we have a number of alerts. We can enter a number of keywords within the alerts function over here, and you will be alerted as soon as those keywords are mentioned on Facebook. So you receive an email to tell you, listen, there was a post that has just been created on Are You Being Served, for example, and you will also get a snippet of the post so that you can decide if it's an urgent one or maybe not so important, you can reply later, or maybe it's a hot one that you really need to get onto it ASAP. But with these groups being so popular, there are so many topics that sometimes it's very easy for you to miss a post, for example, about your brand. So that's why it's important that you're alerted by email so that you can immediately then go on and reply to that particular post. Yes, so this is really Socionomixs Monitor for you. So you've seen the two sides of the coin, so to speak, the analytics part of things and also the monitoring part of things. Just really to close off, and then perhaps we can take on some questions after that. I'm not going to take up much more of your time. I just wanted to conclude here with this with this point, just saying that yes, tying back to what we were saying earlier, the customer is indeed powerful. They have access to social media. They can write anything about the company online. It will be shared, and exposed to many people. But marketers can be powerful too. They have these tools at their disposal that they can use to learn and to listen to their customers before they actually go on to speak. Because there's so much insight and so much data that can be obtained from social media channels that they can really use that at its full advantage and make the most out of these channels. So that's really me for today. I would be keen to hear back from you if there are any questions.
Does anyone have any questions? I have a few from the chat box. Okay, I'll kick off then. So a few questions from the audience, Daniela. With analytics and monitor, with the keywords, can you actually put the keywords in any language?
Yes, that's actually a very good question, and something that I can show you straight away, because apologies, I didn't actually show you that. You can type in really any keyword that you like. I don't think that there will be any, but I'm going to type in Creditinfo, for example, just to see if there are any posts or comments that mention Creditinfo. I doubt it, because I don't think, no, in fact, nothing actually came up. Let me see, just credit, and see if anything actually comes up. Yes, I mean, maybe not really, not really related to your industry or to Creditinfo, but yes, you can type in any keyword that you like, and in fact, you can have an end condition. So if you want to find all those posts that contain the word credit and info, for example, you can do that. So you can have an end condition over there, and we can also have not. We also have a not keyword. So what we were finding, for example, is that for certain brands, Let me give you an example. I mean, for locally, for example, for Melita, you have Melita, the telecoms company, then there's Melita Pharmacy, and then there's Melita Gardens. So, you know, you want to filter out, just look for Melita, for example, but then filter Melita Gardens and Melita Pharmacy. You can do that, and the data will be obviously much more accurate because you're filtering out anything that you don't need, basically. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. And we have a couple of questions about the analytics. Can a company actually block access? So could you actually, as like if we didn't want people to see our statistics at Creditinfo, could we actually put a block so that the Socionomixs wouldn't be able to reach it, or can you actually reach any website?
It's a very, I mean, from that point of view, it's very easy to answer because you can understand if a website, if a page is blocked or not just by visiting it as a normal visitor and without you actually liking the page. You know how you would usually go on and like a page. Most of these brands, the ones that we talked about today, and even general big brands, they would have their page public, so you can access all the data without even liking the page. So in order to see if we can actually extract the data or not, you just have to visit that page without even liking it or not, and see if the data is available or not to people who don't like the page. If it is, then we can extract it. If it's not, then we cannot, because of course that page is not making data available publicly. But really, in a few words, if the page, if you can see the data of the page publicly, posts, comments, people who like, people who post, then we can extract it. If it's not public, then we cannot.
Thank you. And in connection with that, we had a question about are there any legal implications in taking this data from those websites? I assume if they're public, then I assume the answer is no.
Yes, that's correct, because we're actually using sort of an API by Facebook that makes all of this data available. So it's all public, as you said. So if this data can be accessed publicly, I mean, we're not infringing on any legal laws or legal rights, because all of this data is public. So we're just extracting data that is public.
The last one I have from the chat box, is it updated immediately? So if there's a post 2 minutes ago, when you go in, will you actually see that, or is it a 24-hour update?
Yes, that's a very good question, actually. In terms of Socionomixs Monitor, the data is updated very, very frequently. So in a matter, if there is a post, because of course you'd need to answer immediately, within a matter of a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes maximum, you will be alerted. So the data is refreshed very, very frequently. In terms of analytics, because over there you don't really need to have access to sort of real-time data. The data is refreshed every morning. So as soon as you would get into the office, you know that you have all the data yesterday and sort of the data to date until yesterday that is updated. So that's it's refreshed every morning.
Thank you for that. Just to point out, Daniela's contact details are on the slide, so I'm sure if anybody has any questions afterwards, please contact Daniela.
Yes, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. So I've included my email address over here, our website, and also the Socionomixs website, so that you can have a look there. We also have some demos available on site. You can have a quick run through as well if you want to. Yes, any questions at all, please feel free to get in touch.
Thank you very much for your time and for preparing a really interesting presentation for us, Daniela.
Thank you for having me. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Okay, everybody. Thank you very much. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks. Bye-bye.